PR Connections Radio presents.
Welcome to Vegas Hockey Hub recap here on Vegas Hockey Hub. I'm your host Ian Rachiele, and on this edition, we're going to be breaking down the game that just happened between the Colorado Avalanche and Vegas Golden Knights. And this was an interesting game to say the least. We have a lot to talk about, plenty of stuff we are going to discuss here on tonight's episode of Vegas Hockey Hub recap. Now, if you are new to the channel or if you're new to the network, what we do here on Vegas Hockey Hub recap is that we recap every single Golden Knights game throughout the entire season, and we break it down. We give you a half hour of content here on Vegas Hockey Hub. Now, before we break down the content, I want to shout out prconnectionsradio.com, the voice of new media. When it comes to the network, we have a bunch of amazing content on here. We have about a dozen shows on the network, including Vegas Hockey Hub. So go to the website, prconnectionsradio.com, the voice of new media. Check out the YouTube channel, PR Connections, and go to the social media pages at PR Connections Radio, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Twitch. We are everywhere. If you also want to follow Vegas Hockey Hub on social media, we have a YouTube page, we have Facebook, we have Instagram where we upload all the games and all the hockey content that we go to. We have a Twitter where we live tweet and we try to interact with everyone on that account. We also have a TikTok where we upload videos to all the Golden Knights, Silver Knights, UNLV games that we go to. So once again, at Vegas Hockey Hub. Now, I do want to give an update because someone did ask about this, and I want to give an update on it. Yes, I'm doing the Winter Classic bet tonight, okay? The episode that we are doing at 6 p.m. Pacific time, 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern, that episode, I will be wearing the Seattle Kraken shirt. Now, the reason why it took a while to have this bet be completed is here's why. Now, to give you the full context, I made a bet during the Winter Classic because I was going to be going to the event, is that if the Golden Knights lost to the Kraken, I would have to wear a Seattle shirt on a show. That is going to be tonight's episode, okay? So if you go to our Vegas Hockey Hub YouTube channel, if you go to the PR Connections YouTube channel, the episode we are doing tonight, that is going to be where I'm wearing the Seattle Kraken shirt. And considering the All-Star game and everything that's happening there, I have a good bet that it's going to be that episode tonight at 6 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern. So once again, I wanted to give you an update on it. The only reason why it didn't happen sooner is because Fanatics does such a fantastic job at getting your shipping as quickly as possible, okay? I got the shirt. It just arrived yesterday, so I have to wear a shirt today for the episode we are doing of Vegas Hockey Hub. So I didn't want anyone to think I'm flaking. I didn't want anyone to assume that I'm not going to do the bet. I am 100% going to do the bet because Seattle beat Vegas during the Winter Classic. I will be wearing that Seattle Kraken shirt for our episode we are going to do later. So just wanted to give you an update on the Winter Classic bet that we did. Now, getting into the roster updates for your Vegas Golden Knights, because there is some big news that has come out from the Golden Knights organization. William Karlsson has been downgraded to a week-to-week injury. I mean, a lot of people were wondering how long he would be out, considering that he was on the IR recently. He had the injury during the Winter Classic. He missed a game against Florida. He missed a game against New York. People were wondering how long he will be out for. So he will be downgraded to a week-to-week injury. Now, normally when it's something like that and they're saying it's week-to-week, that means that he'll probably be back by the end of the month or the beginning of next month. So I will say for William Karlsson, him being downgraded to a week-to-week injury, that is good news for the Vegas Golden Knights organization. William Carrier being placed on IR is unfortunate. We saw what happened in the game last one. And unfortunately, William Carrier is going to miss some time just because of the injury that he suffered. And then Zach Whitecloud, he did suffer an upper body injury in that game that just happened. And I will look at Zach Whitecloud as less severe than what William Carrier had. Because when it's an upper body injury, you always have to take into account, could it be a concussion? Can it be a neck injury? Can it be a shoulder? Can it be an arm? Can it be a hand? Could it be finger? Like, there's so many things with an upper body injury that could be an upper body injury. So considering what we saw from Whitecloud when he left and considering Carrier, what we saw from him, Carrier being put on IR, it's more serious. Zach Whitecloud, he is questionable. He'll be in and out of the lineup with that upper body injury for your Vegas Golden Knights. Now, the only good news that's coming out of that is the fact that there is so many defensemen in the lineup and there's so many defensemen on the roster that will help out. Speaking of defensemen that are on the roster, part of the pregame notes and during the morning practice, Caden Korczak is practicing in a red jersey. Caden Korczak, of course, is trying to come back from an injury. We have seen him skating around during the morning skate, and there is a possibility that he could be coming back to the Golden Knights organization. Now, reports have come out, and I will give credit to Jesse Granger and all of the fantastic people who are working behind the scenes and doing media there. Caden Korczak has been sent down to Henderson. Now, it is unclear if he's being sent down as a conditioning stint or if he is being sent down to Henderson because of a roster spot. So we'll find out in a couple of days if it's for conditioning or if it's for an actual roster spot, but he is being sent down to Henderson after practicing with the Golden Knights organization. Adin Hill, him practicing in a normal jersey for the Golden Knights. Obviously, we know that Adin Hill has had issues with injuries in the past, and with him trying to come back, that is a good sign there. The Vegas Golden Knights need Adin Hill. I know that Logan Thompson has done really good, and we're going to talk about him in a minute. But when it comes to Adin Hill, him practicing, him skating around, him being part of the morning skate with Vegas, it tells me that when it comes to Adin Hill, he will be coming back. Now, how soon he'll be coming back, I know that there was reports about him maybe coming back after, not this game, not next game, but the game against Calgary. I have heard reports about that. That is a possibility that the Calgary game, that is when Adin Hill might return for your Vegas Golden Knights. But I'm not going to speculate. That is just the timetable that we have gotten on the Adin Hill situation. And speaking of the Logan Thompson situation, there was a lineup change before the game kicked off. In fact, this happened about an hour and a half before game time. Logan Thompson is out with an illness, and this flu has really taken off with the Golden Knights. Keegan Kolesar, he had it, a couple of days ago. We saw that Keegan Kolesar was out of the lineup with a flu, while Logan Thompson now has an illness. So Isaiah Seville had to be called up from Henderson. Very quick recall. He had to be on the bench for this game. But I will say with Logan Thompson, very unfortunate the fact that he was out with an illness. Because this Vegas flu is just really taking off with the Golden Knights organization. It's unfortunate to see. And hopefully it doesn't continue with the organization. That's all I'm going to say. Hopefully this isn't a long-term situation. But yeah, so once again, another player striked with the Vegas flu, this time Logan Thompson. So that meant that Jari Patara will be in net for your Vegas Golden Knights. Now, we have not seen Patara in a couple of games. In fact, we have not seen him in the net for Vegas in a while. So after Logan Thompson has been in net for like 5, 6, 7 games in a row, we are now seeing Patara now be in net. And you know what? I'm going to give him credit. In fact, I'm going to give him some acknowledgement. When it comes to Jari Patara, he is somebody that the last game that he did, and I'm going to backtrack real quick. The last game that he did for your Vegas Golden Knights was against Florida. And even though he lost against Florida, it was not necessarily his fault. The offense wasn't clicking. The defense, there was a lot of high scoring opportunities for Florida. There was a lot of high chance, high risk situations there. I do not blame him for that situation. But considering what the Golden Knights are going through right now, And considering that they've had a bit of a losing streak over the past month, getting a bit of a turnaround for Vegas, they have to try something. So when it comes to having Patara in net for Vegas, it just seems like that's the possibility now. And it seems like that's what the Golden Knights are going to do long term. And I will say for your Vegas Golden Knights, it will be interesting to see that since we had, like I said with LT, he's out with an illness, he has the Vegas flu, and Aiden Hill now practicing in a normal jersey, it will be curious to see if Isaiah Seville gets a first start for Vegas. He has not started at all this season for your Vegas Golden Knights. Thompson, Hill, and Patara have all been in net for the Vegas Golden Knights, but considering the situation, we will see how they do if he maybe gets a crack at it. Now, getting into the game itself, as we're doing the recap here, Golden Knights and the game that we're talking about right here, right now at the Pepsi Center. And to really start out this game, you had not even 5 minutes into the game, Jack Johnson, who actually is one of my favorite players in the NHL. I've gotten to meet him before. He is one of the nicest guys I have met in the NHL. But Jack Johnson, 5 minutes into the game, gets an interference penalty against Pavel Dorofeev. And unfortunately, the Golden Knights on the power play, they did not execute. And this is going to be a bit of a rant and a little bit of a tangent real quick. But this is just unfortunate to talk about. But the Vegas Golden Knights are struggling on the power play. It just seems like the power play unit, things need to change because the Golden Knights are just struggling to put the puck in the back of the net on the power play. The rest of the time, it seems okay. But right now, over the last month, the Vegas Golden Knights are just not consistent on the power play. And you can tell, you can see that they're struggling at times to keep up on the power play. It's just really unfortunate. And sorry about the tangent, but I just really need to talk about that real quick. The fact that the Golden Knights did not capitalize on 4 of the power plays they had in this game tonight. And then you consider the power plays they had against Florida, the power plays they had against New York, even the Seattle game, they had some power play opportunities. Vegas has just been struggling to be effective on the power play. And it's just really unfortunate to see when it comes to the Golden Knights organization. I just really look at the Golden Knights, and outside of Jack Eichel, there really just hasn't been anybody who's putting the puck in the back of the net when it comes to your power play unit and the play itself. So you had the Jack Johnson penalty 5 minutes in on Dorofeev, and then about 5 minutes later, the Golden Knights would be into the box as Nick Waugh would hold Devin Taves. And it's just, Nick Waugh gets a holding penalty. It is what it is. Now, Taves would actually go to the box himself as he would have a tripping penalty a couple of minutes later for the Avalanche. So I will say when it comes to the Vegas Golden Knights, you get these opportunities and they just do not hit. Like, they just do not affect at all. And, the Vegas Golden Knights, they did something in the last minute that was a bit questionable. With a minute left in the first period, the Vegas Golden Knights would get a tripping penalty against them, and the Vegas Golden Knights would actually open up the window as Valerie Niskanen got his 21st goal of the season, assisted by Jonathan Drouin and Mikko Rantanen. So it would be a 1-0 game for the home team against Vegas with about 15 seconds left in the first period. And it's just really unfortunate that the Vegas Golden Knights would get down in the first period and would really just show that they were struggling in this game. Now, it's not about the goaltending. All right, Yuri, I will say he has done a really solid job in this game. In fact, we'll talk about him in detail later on. But when it comes to the defense, the high scoring and the high chances on the opposing team is becoming more and more of a recurring theme here. We're noticing over the last month that the Vegas Golden Knights are just allowing people to get in between, get in the circle. You're also noticing that down in the paint, also near the perimeter, they're just not pushing people out. They're not boxing people out. It's just something that Vegas has just not done well so far. And really to kind of nail this home, it was just a terrible start by Vegas in the first period. This first period just really showed that at times the Vegas Golden Knights just did not get the job done in the first period. They just really looked laxed. They just seemed like there was not a lot of energy in the first period. And unfortunately for Vegas, it just showed throughout the entire game that, there wasn't that much of that hustle, that quick effort, that, go in the first period. You just didn't see it. And unfortunately, that's just something that Vegas is going to have to figure out, because if throughout the rest of the year, if you struggle in the first period and you have to warm up and you have to accelerate yourself and actually get into a rhythm later in the game, imagine in the playoffs, you're taking on Vancouver. You're taking on Edmonton. Okay, let's say that for some reason they take on one of the teams in the Pacific Division. You can't do that in the playoffs. Anyone who's watched playoff hockey knows if you start out slow in the first period, you are done by the second period. It's just a reality. It's just a reality that if you start slow in a game, especially in playoff hockey, you are toast when it matters. So I will say for the defense, I need to wake up a little bit. I understand injuries have been a part of the problem. Okay, I know someone's going to comment that. Someone's going to say that, the injuries have affected Vegas. But look, injuries affect everyone. Right or wrong, injuries affect every team in the NHL. So it's not just the Vegas issue. Injuries affect everyone. But yes, the defense, I just feel like they need more protection. They really need to get more of people down there in the box and make sure that Patara, Thompson, Hill, they are protected on defense. And then getting into the second period here in this game, and, not much was happening on the offensive end. Vegas did get some opportunities. There was one or two opportunities for Vegas to get an opportunity to get goals. But once again, the lack of the power play. 4 minutes into the second period, Mikko Rachiele gets a high sticking penalty. Okay, Vegas gets on the power play, an opportunity to score. They did not execute. Even a few minutes later, when there was a possibility of Vegas having a 2-on-1, they did not execute on it. And it just seems like Vegas right now, they need to make some changes. I mean, this is just an organization that when you really sit back and you examine the lineup and you examine what they are doing right here, right now, I don't know if it's the offensive line that needs changing. I don't know if it's the defensive pairings that need changing, but there is something that really needs to be changed in the Golden Knights organization right now. Because if you look at the lineup for the Vegas Golden Knights, and I just want to take this for just a minute. This is a Vegas Golden Knights team that if you look at the lineup, you have Barbashev, you have Eichel, you have Marchessault. Okay, that's been the first line for majority of the whole year. You got Dorofeev and Stevenson teamed up with the captain on the second line. That is what the Golden Knights have right now. They believe in Dorofeev. They believe in Stevenson, even though Stevenson's been kind of iffy at times. Having Paul Cotter, Nick Waugh, and Keegan Kolesar on your third line, you essentially have promoted your fourth line into the third line and then put Cotter in that spot. And I will talk about the fourth line in a minute because there was something that happened in this game that is very abnormal for the Vegas Golden Knights. Now, getting into the goal that happened here, the Vegas Golden Knights messed up in this situation here, as you would have a Brayden McNabb interference penalty. Now, I will say this was a bit questionable, but obviously people are going to say I'm biased here. But Brayden McNabb getting that interference call opened up the door for the Colorado Avalanche. And after a little bit of time on the power play, Valeri Nichushkin with his 22nd goal of the season, his second goal of the game, and assisted by Mikko Rachiele and Nathan MacKinnon. And this would be a 2-0 game. Now, I do want to mention that Nathan MacKinnon, 45 assists on the year. Nathan MacKinnon is actually at a pace right now where he is averaging a little over a point and an assist and a half per game. That is insane to think about because if he gets to 100 assists on the year, watch out for the Hart Trophy. I'm not kidding. If Nathan MacKinnon averages a assist and a half per game, that will put him in the Hart Trophy. But getting back into this situation, look, I understand that when it comes to McKinnon, you have Ratinen, then you have Niskanen. This is a Colorado Avalanche team that is one of the best in the NHL. We've been knowing this for a while. Colorado and Dallas have kind of been the peak at this moment in the Western Conference. But this is just no excuse. I mean, the power play for Colorado, it's good, but it just really shows that the penalty kill for Vegas has been lacking. They gave up multiple power play goals against Florida. They also had a power play goal given up against Seattle. And this was an organization who now once again gives up not one, but 2 power play goals to the same player. I'm going to back up real quick just to explain that. You had the 2 power play goals given up in one game to the same guy. Just wow. So after the second period, Vegas would be down 2-0. And it's just really unfortunate. And it sucks to watch. I mean, I was at Red Rock. I was at Red Rock. I was at the sports book. I went to the bowling alley for a little bit, just for a little bit of context. And I was watching this game, and it was just very hard to watch because the Vegas Golden Knights did not look like Vegas. And it just seemed like the Golden Knights, the energy is just not there. And once again, I have to mention, I don't know if it's the lines that need to be changed. I don't know if there are some players who need to be swapped in and swapped out. But this just needs to really not happen as much as it is now. So I will say when it comes to the Golden Knights organization, down by 2, and then the nail in the coffin as halfway through the third period, Logan O'Connor with his 7th goal of the season, assisted by Caleb Jones, the former Chicago Blackhawk, and it would be a 3-0 game, and Vegas essentially just nailed in the coffin. Now, Andrew Cogliano had a hooking penalty in the third period, and then Nick Hague had a cross-checking penalty against Andrew Cogliano. So I just really sit here and go, okay, so you get shut out. You know what? It happens. You lose to a Colorado Avalanche team that's one of the best in hockey. Okay, it happens. But this is just a team that's a lack of focus right now. This team just looks like they're just, doing the paces. Honestly, this team looks like they just clock into work. They do what they have to do, and then they clock out. So I think Bruce Cassidy is going to have to make some changes here because they have not done that well as of late. Now, the one injury concern I do have to mention, of course, because he's my favorite player on the organization, Brayden McNabb. He went down the tunnel towards the middle of the third period. Now, after 4 or 5 minutes, he came back onto the bench. But that's something you don't want to see as a Golden Knights fan. You don't want to see another defenseman potentially being out of the lineup for Vegas. So Brayden McNabb went down the tunnel. Maybe it was just because of a skate. Maybe it was because he wanted to get something checked out. We've seen those before in the past. But anytime you have a player that goes down the tunnel at any time, it is always a stressful situation just because you do not know if this guy is going to be okay, if he's going to be fine, or if it could be something worse for the long-term situation. So I just wanted to very quickly talk about that because Brayden McNabb going down the tunnel is something of note that we wanted to mention on here. Now, I did mention the 4th line for Vegas, and I wanted to talk about it later in the show. Here's where it is now. The Vegas Golden Knights, for the first time in a while, used 7 defensemen in this game. Howden and Diansenko was on the 4th line, and they did not have an extra line mate for Vegas. So they had 7 defensemen on the ice. And if you actually want to break it down and really analyze it like I'm going to, Tobias Bjornfoot had 9 minutes on the ice. Okay? Diansenko had 9 minutes on the ice. And the guy that was alongside him, and Brett Howden, had 12 minutes on the ice. So it was really obvious who the 4th line mate was, and that was Bjornfoot. Because you really look at the lineup and you really study the defensive pairings for Vegas, for example. And in this game, I look at it and you have Haig and Whitecloud. Okay. Haig and Whitecloud on the same line. All right. You have Cormier and McNabb, which once again just really shows that McNabb is trusted to be with all the young guys. They've had Korzak there. You've had Cormier there. Of course, we all know about the Shea Theodore situation, which we'll talk about in a later show. But when it comes to McNabb, him being trusted as a second defensive pairing alongside Cormier, and then you have Haig and Whitecloud, who have been your third defensive pairing almost forever throughout the entire season. So I will say for the Vegas Golden Knights, this is just something you don't see that often from Bruce Cassidy. But in this game tonight, Vegas used 7 defensemen. So just very interesting how Vegas did that and how you had Bjorn Foot essentially be a fourth-line winger alongside Howden and Diancinco. Struggling the past 10 games, look, this is something we have to address. At this point, we have to talk about it. This is a Golden Knights team that has lost 7 of their last 9 games. This is a Golden Knights game that was doing really well to begin the year. And now they've hit a rough patch. If it wasn't for the LA win, and if it wasn't for the New York win, this would be a very stressful time for Vegas. So once again, losing 7 of their past 9 games, it just seems like Vegas just has not got it done when it matters in the middle of this time. So like I said, the rest of the calendar and the rest of the schedule is really going to be telling to see how Vegas does. And as you see right there, that is the win-loss record for your Vegas Golden Knights. And this is just an organization that has hit a rough patch. Player of the game is going to go to the goaltending, Yuri Patara. This is somebody that has deserved player of the game for your Vegas Golden Knights. Now, in this game, he made 32 saves on 35 shots. So for somebody who is a young goaltender, or somebody who had to come in at the last minute because LT did get an illness, I will say that he did a stand-up job considering the circumstances that he had in this game. Now, people are going to talk about maybe, Jack Eichel. He did show some effort there. You also had Nick Waugh, who did pretty well on the third line. But I got to give it to the goaltending because at least the goaltending showed up when it mattered. At least the goaltending was there all 60 minutes of play. So Yuri Patara out there with the player of the game. We're also going to do a player profile on him very soon. And I have to give props to the Colorado Avalanche goaltender, Alexander Gorgiev. Now, when it comes to Gorgiev, he is someone that could be an all-star. This is a guy that really has shown that he is an all-star caliber goaltender. Ever since he came over from the backup role with the New York Rangers, being behind Igor Shesterkin, this is a guy who has really shown and progressed as a goaltender out there in Colorado. So I will say that when it comes to Gorgiev, this is a guy that really could be one of the best goalies in the NHL. He stopped all 25 shots tonight against Vegas. So I have to give credit where credit is due. Now, obviously, Nathan McKinnon on the offensive side, he would get there as one of the best honorable mentions in this game. And before we get off the show, I do want to quickly mention the stat line for this game. As the Vegas Golden Knights, you had 20 hits by Colorado, only 16 for Vegas. The penalty minutes were an even split, 8 for each side. And the one positive for Vegas is that they had a 56% face-off win percentage compared to the 44% by Colorado. Now, Vegas went 0 for 4 on the power play and only went 2 for 4 on the penalty kill. And the Vegas Golden Knights had 22 block shots compared to Colorado's 16, and Colorado had 14 takeaways compared to Vegas's 8. So when it comes to this game, as we're recapping it here on Vegas Hockey Hub, and this was the recap of the Golden Knights' recent game. And you know what? Things happen. I get it. But this was Vegas Hockey Hub Recap. I'm your host, Ian Rachiele. And until next time, continue watching hockey, go support junior hockey, and go Knights, go.